All right. We are recording. All right. Will my first speaker on the affirmative side stand? Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, your time starts now.
We strongly believe that the assault weapons ban of 2023 should be passed. Assault weapons are generally used as the main weapon in mass shootings that have happened in America. A majority of the time, assault weapons are in the hands of individuals who do not have authorization or have passed, who don't have authorization or have passed background checks to possess a firearm. Neither self-defense, sports shooting, or even hunting call for such weapons that are considered semi-automatic. Gun violence can result in tragic loss of life. Advocates for gun control argue that passing a bill could save many lives. By making it harder for people who may be at risk of committing violence to access firearms, we believe that gun control measures can help prevent mass shootings and other deadly incidents. Let's think, what is more important, human life or guns and our Second Amendment? America's toxic gun violence contributes to about 40% of the lives that are taken every day by the use of guns. It's amazing, isn't it? By the BBC News article stated in the year of 2022, that was taken. We as a country are already over 162 mass shootings in just over 4 months in the year of 2023 alone. That was also stated, New York Times article as of March 29th, 2023. What do we want as a nation? Save lives or keep the Second Amendment and keep building the market for guns? The Second Amendment gives the right for citizens to bear arms, but it does not give the right to harm people. Let me ask this one more time. Do we want more mass shootings? Passing the bill will also save so many lives. Public safety is a huge concern. Having gun owners keeping their firearms safely secured might also calm down the number of incidents. Stricter gun laws might also make a major difference in the amount of individuals that want to carry firearms. Is there any possibility that we could raise the age to purchase a firearm from the age of 18 to at least 25? Statistics show that the average human brain is not fully developed until the age of 25, stated by the CDC. So you can't legally purchase alcohol until the age of 21. So by increasing the age to be able to purchase a firearm, you are giving your brain a chance to mature. So throughout our history, the laws that are currently in place are going to have to change sooner or later. Consequently, the death rates just keep climbing because the use of firearms is the leading cause of death in the past 2 to 3 years. Until there are any group of individuals who try to make changes, we will continue to see the death rates and death tolls rise higher and higher. You do not need to have a military caliber weapon to defend yourself or your family. Come on, everyone. For every person that advocates for gun control laws, that's one more life saved at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Are you ready? All right. Your time starts now.
Today we are here to argue the case that the Senate should not pass the assault weapons ban of 2023. We are arguing this case by using two main points. Assault weapon bans are not always effective, and two, the bill is lacking in information. It is also important to note that an assault weapon is a semi-automatic gun designed for military use and quick and efficient killing. The first point that I would like to highlight is that assault weapon bans are not always effective. According to the NRA, the study of the assault weapons ban of 1994 found that the ban had no impact on crime because the banned guns were hardly used in the number of gun-related murders. Rifles were used in only 2% of murders from 1994 to 2004 when the ban was terminated, and murder rates were also 19.3% higher when the federal assault ban was in effect. Another important fact to note is that gun crimes involving assault weapons declined, but that decline was offset by the uses of other guns equipped with large capacity magazines. Even though the bill does highlight that large capacity magazines will be banned as well, it doesn't take away the numerous guns that are not labeled as assault weapons that are still allowed but can also do a lot of damage. It is also important to realize that taking away assault weapons will not stop mass killings. The guns might be the actual weapon used for killings, but the people behind the guns are the actual perpetrators. Criminals will still find a way to get the job done. Banning assault weapons will only increase crimes with other weapons such as handguns, shotguns, etc., which might not be as deadly as an AR-15, but can still cause a lot of damage depending on how they're used. My second point is that the bill is lacking information that is important to consider when passing a bill that directly affects the Second Amendment. First, the bill primarily focuses on banning the new production and selling of assault weapons without having restrictions on the millions of assault weapons in circulation around the country. Since there are over 1 million assault weapons in circulation in America, it would be very hard to try and control who owns these weapons and how owners can obtain these weapons. Because there are a lot of assault weapons in circulation, assault weapons will still be passed around, lent and borrowed, and even passed down as family heirlooms. According to the bill, assault weapons that are inherited by someone who once legally owned the weapon are still allowed. Another tricky part about the bill is that it has exceptions for things such as law enforcement, antique firearms, and assault weapons that are already in circulation. These exceptions can lead to issues such as the illegal selling of guns on the black market and assault weapons getting into the hands of the wrong people. Before the federal government passes a bill that restricts assault weapons, they should try to place restrictions on the millions of assault weapons that are already owned and obtained. Second, the bill focuses heavily on the ban of assault weapons, but doesn't say much about strengthening restrictions on how to obtain guns. For this bill to be passed, it should include stricter background checks and raise the age that you must be to obtain guns. In conclusion, before the U.S. government passes another assault weapons ban, they should consider all these factors. The assault weapon ban of 2023 will not last long and will not be successful without these important considerations.
So this is going to be the 2-minute crossfire. Are my first speakers ready? Okay. 30 seconds for y'all? Okay, perfect.
Sorry, check my message. That's all you need.
All right, that is time, y'all.
We're done.
All right. My speakers, if you want to stand, I will start your time now.
Okay, I know you said a lot about raising the age. The bill actually doesn't say anything about raising the age, so what do you have to say about it?
So that actually goes back to what I was saying. If you're talking medically speaking, you raise the age, although the bill does not specifically state that. Scientifically, the older you are, the more mature your brain is.
I actually agree with you, but how can we pass a bill that doesn't raise the age? Like, how is that going to help the gun issues?
How's that going to help? Well, it might bring it down very significantly.
The bill not having an age rating? Or?
No, if the bill does have an age.
Yeah, but the
raising.
bill doesn't have an age rating.
So, based on what you were saying in your points, you said that we should pass the bill if certain measures are met.
Yes.
So do you agree?
I agree that I don't agree that we should pass this specific bill. I think that we need to add certain measures, like you said, raising the age, and maybe highlighting more guns that are not specifically in the assault weapons list. Also, you said a lot about those who will do wrongdoing will have access to guns. You said, so what is the bill? Does the bill say anything about more background checks for those who may not be mentally capable of getting guns?
The bill currently does not, and it probably won't, but we're looking at society as a whole.
All right, that's time, y'all.
Good job.
Thank you. All right, will my second speaker on the affirmative please stand? And then your time starts now. You have 5 minutes.
Okay. We strongly believe that the assault weapons ban of 2023 should be passed. As it has been mentioned by Zach, gun violence is now a daily tragedy affecting individuals and their families. BBC News articles stated that in the year of 2022, America's toxic gun violence contributed to about 40% of the lives that were taken every day by the use of guns. Easy access to firearms is one of the main drivers of gun violence. 162 mass shootings have already occurred in the year 2023, from the source Washington Post. By banning these extremely dangerous guns, the shooters will be forced to use things with less impact. These types of firearms make some attacks possible that simply would not occur without them. They permit attacks at a greater range and from positions of better concealment than other weapons. The legislation will ban the sale, transfer, manufacturing, and importation of semi-automatic rifles that can accept a detachable magazine and have at least one military feature. It is because of their capacity to kill instantly and from a distance that AR-15s are virtually one of the only weapons used in mass shootings. We need to use common sense gun reform to stop gun violence and protect people's rights to live. Our human rights are not protected if our leaders fail to tackle these issues. By striving to limit the overall availability of high-capacity firearms from our streets, we can most definitely reduce the lethality and frequency of these mass shootings that are occurring. The Parkland shooting used an AR-15 and claimed the lives of 17 people. The Uvalde shooting used an AR-15 and claimed the lives of 19 people. Boulder shooting used an AR-15 and claimed the lives of 10 people. The Buffalo shooting used an AR-15 and claimed the lives of another 10 people. The Aurora, Colorado shooting used an AR-15 and claimed the lives of 12 people. The Las Vegas shooting used an AR-15 and claimed the lives of 58 people. The Colorado shooting used an AR-15 and claimed the lives of 5 people. The Louisville used an AR-15 and claimed the lives of 5 people. Adding that is 138 deaths, just off of one semi-automatic gun. Now, why am I talking about the violence and tragedy that has been caused from the use of these guns? Because as Adam C. Best, a progressive activist and founder of the sports site Fansided associated, the AR-15 with over 12 high-profile mass shootings. If you seriously don't think that we need to ban these semi-automatic rifles, you are part of the problem. The leading cause of death in children between the ages of 1 and 19 in the U.S. is gun violence. One more time. The leading cause of death in children between the ages of 1 and 19 in the U.S. is gun violence, according to a recent New England Journal of Medicine report. Dr. Bindi Nayak Mathruda, a pediatric trauma surgeon at Baylor College of Medicine, says that injuries from this type of weapon are almost unsurvivable because of the significant damage the bullets cause to the victims. She also says that treating and saving anyone from an AR-15 wound is difficult, but that for children, the chance of surviving these injuries is slim. One reason is that victims of AR-15 style rifles lose large amounts of blood very quickly, and children, she says, do not have as much blood in their bodies as adults. She goes on to state that a handgun shot is not as wide and devastating to internal organs as the ones inflicted by high-velocity weapons such as the AR-15 and similar rifles, meaning that these children might have a chance to live. Putting all of the violence aside, there is no valid reason to not ban assault weapons. The whole point of gun control is to make sure firearms are locked up and safe. It not only decreases the risk, but serves as a way to help. Would we rather try to have some sort of form of gun control, or sit around and watch these assault weapons kill more innocent children and adults? Gun control legislation aims to reduce gun violence by implementing measures that make it harder for individuals who are at a high risk of using firearms to cause harm and obtain them. This can include measures such as background checks, waiting periods, restrictions on high-capacity magazines, and the prohibition of certain types of firearms. If a gun control pill is effectively implemented and enforced, it can potentially reduce the number of gun-related injuries and deaths, particularly in cases where firearms are used in acts of violence or suicide. Overall, banning these guns will help reduce gun violence, save lives, protect public safety, and mainly help to address concerns about mental health. So we ask you, please think about the 138 lives lost by just one example of a semi-automatic gun. Let us begin to heal as a country and put one foot in the right direction by having common sense gun reform.
Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, your time starts now.
So, again, you guys talk a lot about what things you would like to see passed in these common sense bills that we're talking about right now. But the bill that you are actually arguing for doesn't have any of these things in place, such as more background checks or raising the age for firearm buying, or you're not even arguing about like the fact that this bill is going to grandfather in a ton of weapons that are already in circulation that are already doing the most damage. You also talked about the fact that AR-15s are the only guns used in mass shootings. This is actually a lie. According to Statista.com, handguns are actually the most common weapon used in mass shootings in the United States, with a total of 161 different handguns being used in 111 different shootings between 1982 and April of 2023. And so what you said is just not even true. And you kept saying that, like, if you don't want to ban assault weapons, you are part of the problem. Clearly you aren't listening to our argument, because we are arguing against this bill because we say that it isn't efficient enough to be passed. We are saying that we need to have a stronger, more coherent bill made in order to actually see real changes. You also kept referring to the weapons in this bill as guns when they actually are assault weapons. We are not talking about the banning of guns here. In this bill, we're specifically talking about assault weapons. And so that, again, is just, like, absolutely false. You need to, like, the specificity of this bill is that it's not trying to ban all guns, which is what we actually need to be doing, is reforming total gun laws and not just these assault weapon laws. That's it.
All right, guys, are we ready for the crossfire?
More than ready.
Okay. All right, your time starts now. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, I want to start off by saying in my sentence, I did not say guns, I said assault weapons and rifles, and even if I did say guns, guns include those.
So it's a
it's
very
just-
broad term. Guns can also talk about pistols.
But if you would pay
rifles.
attention, when I said this right here, I said handguns, and I actually did end up saying that they were the #1 lead cause. But I said AR-15s are a close second in the shootings. So I did say that, so
Well, that's
let's
not
debunk
what
that.
I heard.
And also, my second question is, how do you plan to come up with a solution to these gun crimes if you want no form of regulation?
I've never said that. I said that we want more regulations in place, more background checks, more regulating of selling and trading and passing down of
Considering
firearms.
the Senate who wants to pass the bill is about to pass away, it's going to be put on to the next person. And so if everybody can say that, then it can happen. But that's not the point that we're arguing here.
You're arguing that you want to pass this bill.
Yes,
We are arguing that we don't want to pass this bill because we don't feel like it'll be enough reform. And
So
if
my
this
question
is
for you-
passed, if this is passed, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to put everything in place for another 20 years, and we're going to continue to have more shootings and more
So
deaths.
my question for you is, would you rather sit around and do nothing and watch people die
I'm
and
not saying
put no
that.
foot in any type of right direction? Then at least for now, what we can do is pass a bill, and once the bill is passed, we can see how we can improve the bill. But sitting here and not doing anything and waiting more years until the bill is fully to how you would like it, which would take probably 5 to 10 years, there's going to be more mass shootings. As I said in the beginning of my statement, there's been 162 mass shootings already in 2023. That's shootings every single day. And if we don't do anything right now, today, then we will never be able to get there because we can't even put any bill in place to begin with.
We should be putting better bills in place, not this like half-assed crack job bill that's just trying to appease both sides of the aisle.
But it's better than doing nothing.
But is it though? Because
Yes.
we're just going to sit with this for another 30 years, and
Time.
then we're just going to.
Thank you.
You killed that. Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm screaming. You killed that. You killed that. She didn't know what to say.
We said this was such a hot debate as it is.
All right. My third speaker, you ready? All right.
Hold on, give me 1 second. Got something in my throat.
Exactly.
Hey, can you guys hear me in the back? Awesome.
All right. 5 minutes starts now.
All right, so it seems that based on what we are hearing today, that there is a belief that you all share that assault weapons cannot be dangerous towards the general public. Now, danger, that might be a relative term for each of us here today, but I know that if a dangerous person with the wrong intentions were to point an assault weapon at me, I would not know what to do, well, other than feeling like I'm in danger. Of course, I'm not a professional in dealing with danger, but police officers are. And they sign up to step in the line of danger for average citizens like you and I every single day. They face these weapons on a daily basis, and for them, assault weapons are the leading cause of death in the line of duty, as well as children to this list. I mean, according to the New York Times in 2019, they found this information. I think that death qualifies as dangerous, and whenever you recognize that removing the sale of these weapons in the future is going to limit the likelihood of them being on the streets and used to kill people, it's one less thing that they'll have to worry about in the future. We have made sure to address the vast amount of danger that these weapons can do in the U.S. alone. The New York Times found that by the end of March, only March, there had been 125 mass shootings. It's only 90 days in January through March. Over 1 to 2 mass shootings on a daily basis. This is to include, but not limited to, schools, churches, business offices, Sweet 16 parties. Tomorrow might be somewhere that you go. You don't know. We believe that this bill should pass because basic assault weapons available for everyday purchase are military-grade killing tools. In a study done by the New York Times, in an interview that they did with Republican Senator Brian Mast of Florida, they did a conclusive study on the main functional difference between the military's M16 and M4 rifles and a civilian AR-15. They found that the burst mode is the only difference in military models and civilian models. The burst mode allows 3 rounds to be fired with 1 trigger pull, and some military versions of the rifle have a full automatic feature, which fires until the trigger is released or magazine is empty of ammunition. The actual difference in American combat is not that relevant. The U.S. military has been training its soldiers to fire at a semi-automatic rate of fire from anywhere from 12 to 15 bullets per minute instead of a single trigger pull as fast as humanly possible. The weapons are more accurate this way and thus more lethal. Representative Brian Mast, he has also proposed legislation for this bill in the past. And he said that the exact definition of an assault weapon will need to be determined, but we should all be able to agree that the civilian version of the very deadly weapon that the Army issued to me should certainly qualify. They also met with Joe Pelsner, a 20-year combat veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps, who is a part of a social media movement of military veterans, including those who served in Afghanistan and Iraq, calling for reforms on the sale and possession of modern military-style firearms. They said that the AR-15 is the Formula One of guns, designed to kill as many people as quickly and efficiently as possible. And that's with 20 years of military experience. Oh, and they're used in mass shootings on a daily basis. Like, for example, they found in a New York Times study that the military's M4s and M16s are being fed with box magazines. They found that these magazines hold up to 30 rounds of cartridges, that they were used in the Parkland shooting in Florida. Analysis of the video from this shooting in Florida in 2018 found that the gunman was able to, they estimated that during his crime, the gunman fired his AR-15 as quickly as at 1.5 rounds per second. That's compared to the modern military, which only fires 4 to 5. One round every 4 to 5 seconds. He's nearly a triple the rate. This is the type of damage that these rifles can do to schools, churches. And we've also heard that this will not stop the sale or use of them in the future, but what we know is that based in the past, based on bans of assault rifles in the 1990s in the Brady Bill, and a conclusive study done by the DOJ on the impact of that ban, was that it was plausible that the price and production trends related to it would see an increase in reported thefts of assault weapons for at least 2 reasons. First, short-term price increase in primary markets temporarily kept assault weapons from entering illegal channel sales. Criminals might be tempted to steal them instead. In addition, dealers and collectors who paid high speculative prices for grandfathered assault weapons around the time of the ban, but then watched as their investment depreciated after the ban took effect, might be inclined to sell the guns to ineligible purchasers and then falsely report them as stolen to insurance companies and regular source agents. Well, what we found was that in reporting on only 2 years of that data, that was not actually true, and 14% of crime was prevented.
Thank you.
Oh, not yet.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, your 5 minutes begins now.
Overall, the U.S. federal government should not pass the assault weapons ban of 2023 because the bill's ability to permanently lower gun violence is constrained without addressing the real problems. To adequately shield the populace from gun violence, the assault weapons ban of 2023, S.25, falls short. Ignores the accessibility of high-capacity magazines, which are crucial parts of many assault weapons and allow for firing dozens of rounds without the need for reloading. The legislation also exempts a large number of firearms, including military-style rifles with pistol grips and other features, that are now categorized as semi-automatic assault weapons. Last but not least, the bill's criteria of what qualifies as an assault weapon are ambiguous and do not include all firearms that need to be prohibited, thus creating loopholes that gun manufacturers will take advantage of. For those reasons, the U.S. federal government should reject the assault weapons ban of 2023. According to the bill itself, it has a number of exceptions, including those for law enforcement organizations, specific antique firearms, and already owned firearms. These exceptions will make it simpler for someone to obtain an assault weapon, since they might be allowed to do so from law enforcement or from other gun owners. Furthermore, the definition of an assault weapon in the bill is too open-ended and might be used for firearms that shouldn't be classified as assault weapons. By doing this, it might be simpler for people to lawfully buy firearms with similar capabilities to assault weapons. Also, the measure makes no mention of the country's present access to assault weapons, which could encourage people to use their own guns to commit crimes. As a result, Congress must approve a stronger measure that deals with the availability of assault weapons more effectively. The legislation should specify more precisely what defines an assault weapon and should do away with any exceptions that permit the purchase of such weapons. The current bill leaves weapons that are already owned in circulation being grandfathered in. Instead, Congress should introduce a bill that contains steps to limit access to assault weapons already in the nation, such as a buyback program or a restriction on the transfer of these weapons. The bill does not do enough to ensure that assault weapons are not easily available to the public, and its exemptions and definitions create potential loopholes that can be exploited. To truly reduce gun violence in this country, Congress must pass a stronger bill that addresses all aspects of gun availability and does not contain any exceptions or vague language. Thank you.
All right, y'all. This is the unique one. You are all allowed to participate. You will have a minute longer. This is going to be the 3-minute grand crossfire. Are we ready?
Yes.
All right. Your 3 minutes begins now.
Do you guys have a question for us?
Actually, I do.
Go ahead.
You guys said that the ban is gonna fix gun violence in America, but remember, the assault weapon ban of 1994 was passed. If it was that effective, why was it not renewed? Because it expired. So tell me right here, I'm asking you.
The reason why the bill wasn't renewed is because the backing for the bill itself wasn't actually fully covered, and the majority of the people that actually wanted to cover the bill were liberals, right? And the people that didn't want it, and the reason why there wasn't backing for it, is because we didn't get cover from conservatives and the Republicans in that matter. But when we want to talk about the actual assault rifle ban in this current day and age, we're not talking about the past, we're talking about this modern time, right?
Well, the bill is the same thing. Everything that is on
Okay, but
everything that is on the assault weapon of 2003 is the same thing that is on 1994. There's a loophole. If you read, did you read the bill?
Yes, did you read the bill?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell me what's on the bill then?
Yes, I actually did the bill. It says that on the bill, it says that it will ban gun being made outside of the U.S. So gun inside the U.S. will still be made. Will still be illegal.
Which is
People
true.
will still use it. Wait, I'm not done. I'm not done.
Oh, okay.
Do you care? What do you care about? Do you care about, like, saving lives, or do you care about people protection?
You must
Because
have not
if
heard
you
Okay.
Not
And so
doing
you've been
anything.
talking, so you haven't heard our opening statements. We had a first speaker, second speaker, and a third speaker talking about the actual assault rifle ban, right? And the weapons ban itself. We talked about wanting to save the lives of people, but
How you
wait,
gonna do
let me
that?
finish.
How are you going to do
that?
that by doing nothing?
Yes,
No, we're
exactly.
not actually doing nothing. We
So-
said that there needs to be more regulation.
Okay, but we're taking steps in the right
Why is a ban
direction to
not
actually do
affecting
something.
regulation?
Would the ban actually
okay, let me ask you this.
in America?
Here, let me ask you
Would the
this.
ban actually
So
fix gun violence in America?
so you know the last time we did this ban was in 1994, right?
Yeah.
We're in 2023. How long do you think it will take for Congress to actually enact a bill and get something started so that we can actually start the process and
Do you
making sure
actually
this happens?
think that the ban
No,
is going to
you're not
work?
answering
Do
my
you
question.
actually think that
You're
the
not
ban is
answering my
going to
question
work?
though.
I'm
But we're
actually
doing
asking- I'm actually
something.
answering your question right here.
Okay, they
How many
clearly stated in
children?
their statement they would rather wait 10 years to get a bill.
No, 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 no,
That's
no,
actually
no, no,
not
no.
what we
The
stated.
ban
Okay,
started in
So I've heard a lot
1994.
from
You're
you.
waiting until 2003. How many
is your
school
name?
shootings?
Can you-
No,
can you
how
say-
many school
I don't know,
shootings
I don't know.
happened until you guys
shootings
wanted to
total this
make the
year as
ban
of
Keisha,
actually
I've heard
pass?
from you
No, no,
enough.
no, no,
Valentina,
no,
can I ask you a
no, no, I'm
question?
not
In
done.
April.
What should we go ahead and do then if you're not going to pass
we
the
should
Senate
sit
Bill
around, that's what they
2023?
said.
I think
Let me
that we
ask you
should
this.
form a stronger bill that will
Okay.
actually do something
let's
instead
wait
of.
five-
What is that something though? Please
Exactly.
tell me what that
We
something
should
is.
do better background checks. We should raise the age. We
But that doesn't
should-
have to be a part of this bill itself. That can be stuff that we can do in addition
So
to
you
making
think
sure
that
that
if
this
this
bill
bill is
gets
All right,
passed.
that's time, y'all.
public-
Thank you.
So I won't sit down because it's still my turn.
All right. Let me start your 5 minutes, though. All right, your time begins now.
Perfect. As we come to the end of this very impactful debate, it is very imperative that we, you and me, seek to understand the gravity of the situation at hand. We strongly believe that the assault weapons ban of 2023 has to be passed. We must acknowledge that assault weapons are the main weapons used in mass shootings, and these tragedies can absolutely be prevented if we take all necessary steps towards responsible gun control laws. It is time to recognize that firearms have the potential to become weapons of mass destruction, and we cannot allow this to continue any longer. According to the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting UCR program, 73.8% of murders in the United States were committed with firearms, and mass shootings have all become too common in our society. The availability of assault weapons heightens this problem, contributing to the endless loss of lives that plague our great nation. We have seen too many innocent lives, young, old, black, white, Asian, to the destructive bullets of assault weapons. The availability of assault weapons only worsens the problem, and it is up to us as a human race to make sure we're proactive and not reactive towards responding responsible gun control laws in addition to the mass casualties caused by gun violence. We continue to see the endless availability of assault weapons only continuing to elevate the problem as a whole. It is up to us as a society to take necessary steps towards safer and more responsible gun control laws. which in this case is pertaining specifically to assault weapons and firearms that fall under the class of firearms. By passing the assault weapon ban in 2023, the bill itself seeks to protect our public safety. Again, I will continue to reiterate that this is up to our society to take proactive steps towards responsible gun control laws that protect us without compromising our individual rights or freedoms. The Brady Bill enacted in 1993 established background checks for all individuals who wish to purchase firearms from licensed dealers. However, this law has loopholes that allow individuals to buy guns without background checks, such as private sales and gun shows. We must work towards closing the loopholes in current laws and regulations that allow individuals with a history of violence or mental illness to obtain firearms. While handguns are also causing deaths, being able to reduce the number of types of firearms in circulation will benefit public safety. The ban on the assault weapon will not solve all of the problems related to gun violence, but it is a step in the right direction. We must also work on regulating the black market to crack down on the illegal acquisition of firearms. Moreover, assault weapons are designed to kill many people quickly, effectively, and have no practical use for hunting or self-defense. The ban on assault weapons would limit the number of high-capacity firearms on the streets and reduce the frequency and lethality of mass shootings. In addition to regulating the amount of weapons on the street, we must look at the lethality of the firearms that are available to the general public. The term assault weapon refers to the semi-automatic firearms with features that are designed for military use, such as high-capacity magazines, pistol grips, and flash suppressors. The ban on assault weapons would not include revolvers or other handguns, which are generally less deadly than assault weapons. What is freedom if we can't send our children to school without the fear of an active shooter with an assault weapon on hand? We must look to improving and closing loopholes in current regulation and laws that allow individuals to obtain these assault weapon firearms. Because nothing is perfect on the first try, this ban on assault weapons will not be the final solution to this problem, but more of a step in the right direction in addressing the issues of mass casualties that are afflicting our great nation. By striving to limit the overall availability of high-capacity firearms on our streets, we can most definitely reduce lethality and frequency of these mass shootings that are occurring. In this moment, we need to finally recognize that assault weapons absolutely do not have a practical use for self-defense or hunting. These type of firearms are designed to murder and take the lives of many people. We must get on our feet and shout that we don't need these weapons in our society. So I ask you this, please join me and every single individual in this country to call for not only safer but more responsible gun control laws. We must band together and find a common ground to prevent the further loss of human lives. This is our time to work towards a safer, stable, and more free, secure society for all. Together, hand in hand, we can make a major difference in creating a better future, not only for ourselves, but the future generations to come. Now, this is why the US federal government should absolutely pass the assault weapon ban of 2023, aka Senate Bill 25. Thank you.
Your 5 minutes starts now.
Guys, let's face it, the ban will not change anything. It will only make things worse. Going back to the point mentioned earlier, only 2% of murders from 1994 to 2004 were committed with rifles, which were the guns that were banned. When the ban was in effect, murder rates were even higher. Although guns crime involving assault weapon decreased, other weapons with bigger magazines were used more instead. Moreover, the ban will not reduce gun violence completely. Enforcing it will be difficult and may lead to unintended consequences such as increasing the use of other weapons for violent crime. Furthermore, the ban will not be effective enough in making people feel safe and protected. According to Kapoor 2022, Republican Jim Jordan of Ohio said, "Today they are coming for your guns. They want to take guns away from people." The bill will make communities, I think, less safe. The bill will have a negative impact on society because taking away people's guns will make community less safe and more vulnerable to any kind of danger. So the safety of the people cannot be guaranteed with the passing of this ban. While it's easy to think that banning assault weapons will solve the problem of gun violence and mass shootings in America, it will not, because we already have too many guns on the streets. Going back to the point about mass shootings, it will not stop since there's no guarantee that guns will be off the market once the ban is passed. criminals will still find a way to get more guns illegally through the black market. A Justice Department study published in 2009 showed that only 7%, I repeat, 7% of federal prisoners who were in possession of firearms at the time of their crimes had either purchased them from a licensed firearm dealer. Half of federal prisoners who carried guns at the time of their offenses had either stolen the firearms or bought them from the black market. Instead of fixing the problems, you guys are just making things worse, because the bill will not stop people from having guns. Rather, it will push them to use the black market, which will lead to an increase in violent crime and further endanger public safety. So instead of focusing on the ban as the solution, we should direct our attention more on addressing the root causes of gun violence and work towards a solution that will promote public safety for everyone living in America. If the ban is passed, it will not help the kids who were victims of school shootings in Texas, Nashville, and all around the country heal from the trauma they experienced. The circle of gun violence will not stop after the ban is passed. People will still have to look over their shoulders when they go to work, send their children to school, or go to the bank. A gun in the right hand can be used to keep people safe, but in the wrong hand, it can be used as a deadly weapon. Guns are not the thing killing people. People are the ones killing other people. Thank you.
Right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay. Just give me a few minutes. I'm gonna go over my notes again.
Oh, are you gonna address us? About how we did? Oh,
In front
cool.
of all these people?
No, I mean, no, go off.
Yes.
Keisha, I like your points. I wish I could have debated you a little bit more. I
That'd be
wish you
great.
would have like the second speaker, because then I would have had a lot of questions for you.
It got so heated. I was so
Yeah. I was like,
Great.
I'm so ready for this assignment.
We're
to
not
be over.
Republicans, okay?
No, like to be fair, you guys did a